All right, guys, so in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you my full crypto portfolio. Now, before I get into the video, I just want to say I am not a financial advisor. I am not encouraging you to buy any of these coins. I'm not trying to shill you anything. My channel isn't big enough to pump any of these coins, but I just wanted to be open and honest with you guys to show you what I'm currently invested in. Also, I have been jigging around my portfolio recently as I want to be prepared for anything. So this portfolio is designed more for a longer term hold for kind of months. We're not thinking days or weeks, we're thinking months with this portfolio. And the reason being, as much as we all are hoping for a bull market at the moment, and it certainly looks like we're in a bull market at the moment, the market could turn at any point. So I'm trying to make sure I'm invested in high quality coins that if the market does turn, they would survive a bear cycle. So that's why I put this portfolio together. Now, in terms of what I'm aiming for with this portfolio, for the rest of the year, I would love to see maybe a 2x out of this portfolio. And as we go into 2022, if we can get maybe a 3 to 5x next year, that would be my goal. So I just wanted to give you that background on the portfolio. Now, as I go through it, I'm going to show you my largest coins, my largest investments first. And then at the end of the video, it'll be my smaller investments, the more high risk, the degen coins. So they'll be available at the end of the video. So let's go through this, starting with Ethereum. And I don't think any portfolio at the moment is currently complete with at least having some Ethereum in it. Now, I'm not saying Ethereum has the reputation maybe it did a year or so ago, as there's some competitors coming along, but certainly it is the second largest crypto by a considerable margin. I mean, it's got a market cap of around 500 billion, yeah, about 500 billion, and then the next biggest one is less than 100 billion. So, it's comfortably in second in terms of market cap. But in terms of kind of the amount of apps and developers engaged in the ecosystem, Ethereum is by far and away the leader. So that's why I've got some in Ethereum for that purpose. And also because of the stability. The larger coins are generally going to be much more stable. So when there's big movements in the market, these coins won't move as much. So you won't make as much money, but at the same time, if the market goes against you, you won't lose as much money either. So a good portfolio should have some coins that are slightly more stable and some slightly more high risk ones as well. So that's why I've tried to find this balance with my portfolio. So I think most of you guys will probably have some Ethereum in your portfolio. If not, then you've probably got Solana instead. So I've got both because for me, although Solana is currently ranked 5th, I think it's going to be the closest competitor to Ethereum and the one that long term has the best chance of catching Ethereum and potentially flipping it. So that's why I've got some Solana. Is seeing some really good developer engagement at the moment. It has been on an absolute tear this year. I mean, if we just look over the 180-day view, you can see there the price has been soaring, but we're still only at a 66 or 67 billion market cap. And when you see Ethereum at $500 billion, if Solana keeps getting traction, this will outperform Ethereum in a bull market, I believe. So that's why I'm invested in Solana. In number 3 position, we have Bitcoin. So the main reason I have Bitcoin is from my mining rig. So my mining software that I use pays out in Bitcoin, so I keep it in Bitcoin. If I didn't have the mining rig, would I have Bitcoin? Probably not. Yes, it is the number 1 coin. It does have the largest market cap. But for me, if you're in a bull market, every other coin in the top 10, 15, 20 is probably going to outperform Bitcoin. And if you're in a bear market, a lot of people do go to Bitcoin for safety in a bear market. I'll just go to stablecoin. I'll just go and stick it in Terra, or I'll pull it out into traditional currency, as that's always going to outperform a bear market. So for me, other than mining rig, I probably wouldn't be invested in Bitcoin, but that's my own personal preference. I'd love for you guys to let me know whether you're invested in Bitcoin in the comments below, or whether you just focus on altcoins instead. So that's the first 3 coins. Things start to get a bit more interesting now. So my 4th biggest bag is Superfarm. Now, this wasn't always my 4th biggest bag. I invested in this, I think it was around about 90 cents when I invested. So I've had a 2x out of this. I also actually sold some and bought back as well. So I've had a bit more than a 2x because I bought in at a lower point and taken some profits. Superfarm, I have a lot of belief in. If we open up their website very quickly, superfarm.io, you can see these guys, if I scroll down, they are an NFT launchpad, NFT farming, NFT generation, marketplace trading, etc. And they're also going to be the launchpad for a game which is coming soon, which looks very, very interesting as well. Also, though, for those of you that aren't aware, Superfarm is actually owned by Elio Trades, who has a huge YouTube and Twitter following. I have a lot of confidence in Elio, so I believe he's going to really smash it with Superfarm, and that's why I'm happy to keep Superfarm as my 4th biggest bag. And it wouldn't surprise me if this is my best performing coin in this bull run if it materializes. Just before we jump on to the next investment, if you're not following me on Twitter, you can follow me at Darren the Degen. I post all of my crypto and NFT investments on there, and I shared my portfolio probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. It has changed since then, so I'll always share my portfolio on there as well, and I'll probably share my portfolio as it is at the moment in one screenshot on there in the next day or two. So make sure you follow me at Darren the Degen. In position 5, we currently have Polkadot, which has pulled back a bit recently. Now, Polkadot is getting a lot of traction. You can see it's the 8th biggest coin. What I do like is the parachain aspect. So it's multiple chains all working together. Their interoperability, as they call it. And if we open up their website just very, very quickly, you can see this is what they focus on, the interoperability of the chains. So it means they can develop chains for particular purposes and have them all working together, rather than just one chain, for example, like Ethereum, that gets overloaded. So these guys are developing multiple chains, multiple apps for these chains, and then all going to work together. So I'm really excited for Polkadot, and I think long term is a very safe and good investment. Ultra is a fairly new investment for me. These guys are trying to be Steam of the crypto world. So Steam, the gaming company, have banned all crypto and NFT related games from their platform. So they've opened up a huge door, and Ultra at the moment is the company that everyone's talking about to fill this. So if you go to ultra.io, you can see they talk about what they are trying to achieve. So that's why I've got a good sized bag of Ultra, and some quite a nice pump today as well. So hopefully that will continue, as a lot of the gaming and metaverse related projects are really picking up, and I expect them to continue picking up in the coming weeks as well. On that theme, my next bag is UFO. Now this is my 6th or 7th size bag, but this started off as a tiny investment. I think initially I put around $500 into this. I think it's already done a 4 or 5x since I invested. So I've already taken profits twice, but I've still got some left in here. So at the moment it's about my 6th or I think 7th biggest bag. But if I hadn't taken any profits, it could have potentially been probably my biggest bag at this point. But you never know how high these coins are going to go. So it's always important to take some profits on the way up. And UFO is a gaming related token. And if you look at the charts, they are absolutely insane over the past 30 days. You can see here all the way up from pretty much, let's just say 0.1, rather than reading that all the zeros, up to over 0.4. And people are expecting this to go higher. This could easily go higher. We're at a 1 billion market cap at the moment, but with all the hype behind gaming and the metaverse, who knows where it could go. But I certainly wouldn't buy at this point. But I was obviously in a much lower entry point, so it's absolutely fine to continue holding. But I probably wouldn't buy here, as we certainly do look like we maybe need some sort of pullback or correction. Maybe 0.3 would be a good entry if we come back and test support there. Up next, we have Polygon, or which is formerly known as Matic, and its ticker is still Matic. So Matic is a layer 2 solution on Ethereum. So if an Ethereum is layer 1, Matic are trying to solve a lot of the issues that Ethereum has with throughput and fees. So Matic are trying to solve that. So that's why I've got a decent sized bag of Polygon, because if Ethereum continues to dominate in that 2nd position and Matic can actually solve some of their issues, there's a good chance this will continue to go up. We then have Phantom. So if you saw my tweet from a week or so ago, this hit my buy zone at $2.50 and has come down substantially. So I'm in the red on this trade, but I'm very, very confident this will be a good investment long term, and that's where most of my investments are. They are long-term investments for kind of months, if not longer, potentially a year or two for some of these. So at the moment, this is one of the large layer 1 altcoins. It only has a market cap of around 5 billion. And if we go back to some of these top ones here, you can see if you can get a 5 billion market cap up to something like 20, 30, 40, 50 billion, you're going to make some very good returns. So Phantom, happy to stay invested in Phantom, and I think they largely focus toward DeFi as well, so they're very specialized chains. So Phantom is certainly something that's worth considering, and $2 is probably a reasonable entry point. You can see over the last 90 days we did get quite a nice move, and then we're coming back, probably going to test support around this $2 mark, but who knows where it will go long term. Up next, we have Terra, or Luna, as you guys might have heard it be referenced. So I really like Luna, as they are focusing on stablecoins. So we have the main stablecoins at the moment are USDT and USDC, and they are basically asset backed in, or what we say in the real world, they're backed by assets in the real world. The problem is they are being looked at for regulation, and also there are certainly some question marks around whether something like Tether is actually backed fully one-to-one by real-world assets. So there's an opportunity here for coins such as Luna, which has got its own stablecoin ecosystem, which doesn't depend on real-world assets, to have their place. And Luna, again, has been ripping this year, and there's lots of investment going into this, and lots of people are starting to use UST. So that's US Terra, not USDT, which is USD Tether. So remember, they are separate. So a lot of people are starting to use UST as an option. And the more money that goes into Terra, then Luna has to be burned to keep the price down. So that's why Luna I'm very bullish on, and I expect to continue to do well long term as well. And actually, if we go to the Luna website, this explanation, sorry, this isn't the Luna website, this is actually a news report. This might make it easier to understand. The aim of the Terra blockchain is to create stablecoins, tokens designed to combine the decentralized freedom of cryptocurrencies with the stability of fiat money. And if we jump down to here, it says, for example, if the UST value goes above $1, the equivalent value of Luna would be burned, which mints more UST, making it less valuable. So that's how it works, and that's why I'm really, really bullish on Luna. We then have Litecoin. I'm not actually invested in Litecoin. It's just a reminder to make sure you guys hit the like button if you are finding this video useful. Up next, we have Rweave. I've been very patient to get an entry into Rweave. I missed it a while back, and so I've bought in this current dip. So Rweave is offering permanent storage for one-off fees. So this is storage on the blockchain, and also Solana and a number of other chains are going to be using Rweave as a storage option. So if Solana continues to grow, I'm expecting Rweave to continue to grow, and I think Rweave is going to do really well long term. And if we go to maybe the 6-month view, you can see here it's definitely trending up, lots of higher lows, and at the moment we're just on a nice pullback. So there's, every reason to expect this will continue going up over the next few weeks. After Rweave, we have Cardano. So this is quite a divisive coin if you've been in the crypto space for a while, and it gets mocked a lot as well. So when I initially got into Cardano, I didn't really know what I was doing. I'll be honest. Well, I think the first 3 coins I bought, or the first 2 coins I bought, were Ethereum and Cardano, and I was generating Bitcoin from the mining. Now I bought Ethereum because it's the second biggest and had lots of user adoption, and everyone was saying Cardano is good because it's a big coin, but it's cheap. But really, I didn't understand market caps at that point, so buying a coin just because it was $1.50, I think at the time, seemed like a good idea. But now, actually, I'm not a huge fan of Cardano, and I think initially I had 2,500 coins, now I'm down to 500, so it's a much smaller portion of my portfolio. But I do expect Cardano to go on a run as we go into 2022, and people actually start deploying apps onto the platform, because there's not a huge amount of them on there at the moment, as smart contract functionality was only enabled a couple of months ago. But I've still got a bit of money in Cardano, even though it isn't probably my most favorite coin. And certainly the money that I've taken out of Cardano to reinvest in the other coins, every other coin that I've invested in has outperformed ADA. We then have Chainlink. So Chainlink is the main oracle for a lot of other coins. So an oracle effectively takes real world data and makes it usable on the blockchain. So that's why you need an oracle, and Chainlink is the leading oracle, and I've got a decent amount in Chainlink. Hex, another very divisive coin, went on a real spike a few weeks ago, but has pulled back drastically since. If we go to the 90-day view, actually let's go to the 180-day view. You can see here it went on a rip from kind of middle August from around 12 cents, topping out close to 50 cents, 47, 48 cents there. So it had a real strong push. Has a very active and strong community. Yes, we are on a pullback at the moment, but I expect this coin to continue doing well. And the owner, Richard Hart, is also launching a cryptocurrency called Pulse Chain, which has a lot of hype. So I think those together will continue to drive this price up. And Hex rewards people for staking long term. So people will stake for multiple years. I know someone who's invested and staked for 5 years. So people are staking in this cryptocurrency long term. And this is where basically you're going to get the returns. Is from staking, you'll get interest in terms of Hex tokens. And hopefully during that time, the actual value of Hex goes up as well. But certainly, Hex is very divisive. A lot of people will call it a scam, and I'm not encouraging anyone to get into Hex. The main reason I'm in Hex is because I am invested in Pulse Chain, and I didn't want to miss out on Hex as well, because when Pulse Chain launches, Hex is going to get duplicated onto Pulse Chain, so you're going to have double the amount of tokens. Now, we don't know what's going to happen with the value, but it's going to be interesting to find out. Next up, we have the graph. Now, I've got to be honest, I'm not 100% sure why I'm still in the graph. I think when I initially sold some Cardano, I was looking just purely from a technical perspective, just looking at the charts, and this was a very good setup, so I invested in the graph. And a couple of times it's gone on a run, and then it's just pulled back. So I'm expecting this to go on another run, but I couldn't really tell you kind of from a fundamental perspective why I'm in the graph and why I believe in it long term. I entered based on a technical setup and I've kind of forgot to get out of it. So I'm kind of holding this, expecting it to go up based on previous highs. If I go back here, it has been up well above $2 in the previous run back at the start of the year. So if we can get back towards that, that would be a decent exit point for this investment. Engine coin, one of my favorite coins at the moment. This is a big part of the gaming and metaverse play. So this, if you don't want to get invested into individual gaming coins, Engine is basically a platform that all of those individual games can use to introduce NFT functionality. So these guys might be really good at developing games, but they might not really understand how to integrate NFTs. So Engine is trying to fill in that space. And Engine has been doing very well, and I expect it to continue doing well because the narrative is certainly towards gaming and the metaverse and NFT. So it all comes together. So Engine is a very nice combination of those. We then have DRace, which is a gaming token or horse racing token. They've released a lot of the NFTs in terms of horses, but they're still building the actual game. So this will be a crypto horse racing project. Again, another one that's been really, really moving. I got on this quite early, and you can see here. So the gains have been really, really good. It's only one of my smaller bags. It is a high risk project. Same with all of these ones towards the end of this video. These are all fairly high risk. But I would expect these to continue over the coming weeks. Yes, we might see a short-term pullback, but the trend is definitely up. And you'll see that same theme for any gaming, meta, or usually NFT-related token. We then have VPP, which is Virtual Poker Points, so crypto poker, effectively. And these guys already have network effect. They have a large user base. So I think VPP will continue to do well. We then have Radium and Serum. So I'm going to reference them both together here. So Radium is a DEX on Solana. So it's the exchange where you can buy and sell other coins. And Serum is the liquidity pool. So usually on a blockchain, the actual DEX would provide their own liquidity, but on Solana, Serum provides the liquidity for the DEXs. So I'm invested in both Radium, expecting it to be the largest DEX on Solana, and Serum because it provides the liquidity to all of the DEXs on Solana. But again, these are only small bags and kind of back up my earlier Solana investment I showed you in the video. We then have Crypto Meta or Tech, which is a gaming token. Now, I would be out of this if it wasn't for the insane Ethereum gas fees. I invested in this as a very high risk punt a month or two ago, or probably actually longer than that, 2 to 3 months ago now. When they launched their token, they messed up the launch and released all of their tokens at the same time rather than just a percentage of the tokens. So the price bombed. I bought one at a really good price, and at one point I was at a 3x. But because of gas fees, I kept holding off from selling. And now I'm actually at a small loss on this token. So I will get rid of this. But the thing is, if I sold it at the moment, because I've got such a small bag, I would probably lose money because the amount of gas I'd have to pay to sell this on Uniswap. And then finally, we have Giro Wallet, which is a wallet on Cardano. And like I was saying, Cardano hasn't got a huge active community at the moment. Well, it's got active community, but I mean, in terms of users, there's not lots of people using the platform at the moment. That might change at the start of next year. So I'm holding this long term. This was a rookie mistake for me when I invested into this coin. I bought at the pump before I really knew what I was doing. I was following hype from people on YouTube and Twitter, people saying that the Cardano wallets were going to take off. Bought in at the hype, and it's been coming down ever since. It is consolidating at the moment, so any investment in the high single figures, maybe 10 cents max, might be a reasonable place to buy. But I wouldn't expect this to do much until we get into Q1 next year at the very earliest. But if I'd know what I know now, I would no way I'd have invested in a coin at this point in its life cycle. So that's my portfolio from left to right, largest to smallest. Hopefully you guys found that useful. Like I said earlier on in the video, if you want to see my latest crypto and NFT calls, follow me on Twitter at Darren the Degen. If you found this video useful, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you're fairly new to crypto, I'm going to pop up 2 videos in front of me. One will be a full guide on how to buy Bitcoin, and the other one will be a full guide on how to buy altcoins. And I'd recommend you guys checking those out.